This problem is for you. At the end of this video, attempt the problem and drop your answers at the comment section. Welcome to Sapima tutorial. I have a question on the board. A recipe for 4 people uses 20 grams of baking powder. Find the mass of baking powder in the recipe for 7 people. Make a table and draw the graph to show the masses for 1 to 8 people. Does the graph show direct proportion? Now the problem is proportion. Let us look at proportion. Proportion. Now, what is proportion? Proportion is a comparison between two quantities. Comparison or relationship between two quantities. Under proportion, we have direct proportion and indirect proportion. Let us talk about direct proportion today. In my next video, we talk about indirect proportion. Direct proportion is such that an increase in one commodity brings about a relative increase in the same proportion in another quantity. I have 2 quantities in comparison. As one increases, the other increases. If this reduces, the other also reduces. This is what we call direct proportion. For an instance, I have 20 naira with me in my pocket, and this 20 naira can afford 5 packets of biscuits. 5 packets of biscuits. If this 20 naira is increased, the 5 packets of biscuits will increase in the same proportion with what 20 naira can afford. Let us assume my money is increased to 40 naira. That means I will have 10 packets of biscuits. Remember, this increase is in the same proportion with the first one. So if this amount is increased to 60 naira, that means I will have 15 packets of biscuits. Let us test the proportion, the ratio. If the ratio of 3 of them are the same, if they are increasing in the same rate. Now, ratio, I mean 5 over 20, in fraction first, then 10 over 40, it should be equal to 15 all over 60. Now, if I divide itself, I will have 1, 5 divided 20, I will have 4. If 10 divides here, 1, if 10 divides here, 4. Now, 15 divided itself is 1, 15 divided 60 is 4. Therefore, the ratio of what I can afford at a particular time is equal, all true, which is 1 over 4. So this is a direct proportion. So an increase in one quantity brings about a relative increase in another quantity. We are going to use this knowledge and solve this problem and look at other things around direct proportion. Solution. Okay. Now a recipe for 4 people uses 20 grams. Now 4 people uses 20 grams. We are asked to get a recipe for 7 people. The first thing I'll do is to get what the recipe for 1 person. Recipe for 1 person will give me 20 over 4. If I divide 20 by 4, I will have 5. So the recipe for 1 person is 5 grams. Now if I want to get a recipe for 7 people, which I am asked to get, I'll multiply 5 by 7. This gives me 35 grams. So to prepare a recipe for 7 people, I need 35 grams of baking powder. We have provided solution to the first demand. Now the second, we are asked to prepare a table for 8 people. 8 people. So having gotten a recipe for 1 person, we can get as many people as possible. I will get a table for myself. Now we are going to be plotting a graph of people against the baking powder, the quantity of the baking powder. So here will be my people, and here will be baking powder. Baking powder in gram. Okay, so I have 1 person, 2 persons, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So let us get the quantity of baking powder required to bake from 1 person to 8. Now, since 1 person needs 5 grams, for 2 persons, I will say 5 times 2, which will give me 10. This is 5, then I will have 10. Then for 3 persons, I will say 5 times 3. For 3 persons, 5 times 3 gives me 15. Then for 4 persons, 4 times 5 will give me 20. Then for 5 times 5 will give me 25. Then 6 times 5 will give me 30. 7 times 5, 35, and 40. Now, for 1 person I have 5 grams, 2 persons 10 grams, in that order. We check the ratio of each pair against the other. Now, from the first one, I have 1/5. It should be equal to 2/10, which should be equal to 3/15, and continues 7/35, which should be equal to 8/40. Now, if I divide 1 by 5, it remains the same. You can't simplify. 2 divided itself is 1. 2 divided 10 is 5. 3 divided itself is 1. 3 divided 50 is 5. 7 divided itself 1. 7 divided 5 is 5. 8 divided itself is 1. 8 divided 40 is 5. So all of them is giving us the same ratio. Therefore, I will have 1/5, which is 1:5. This is the ratio. So for every 1 person, I need 5 grams. For every 1 person, I need 5 grams. Next, we are asked to represent the information on a graph. Of course, it is going to be a straight line graph, because as 1 increases to 2, to 3, to 4, the quantity increases in the same proportion. It is adding 5, 5, 5 in the same proportion, in the same ratio. Therefore, it's going to be a straight line graph. I will sketch the graph. I will not draw to scale because I don't have graph here. So I will choose a reasonable scale for my graph. So I will have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40. Okay, so here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Alright, so from the table, when I have 1, I will have 5. They will intersect each other at this point. 1 and 5 will meet at this point. When I have 2, I have 10. They meet at this point. When I have 3, I will have 15. 7 and 35. Then 8 and 40, which is the last. Then the next thing, we join with a straight line. Just use your ruler, join it with a straight line. It is supposed to be a very straight line. Very straight line. So the graph of a proportion is a straight line graph. So the last question here says, does the graph show direct proportion? Of course, it shows a direct proportion because the increase is in the same ratio. Therefore, it is a straight line graph. We have another question on the board. A table is given to us. Blue paint and red paint are needed to mix a purple paint. 5 blue and 2 red will give us a purple paint. 10 and 4, 15 and 6, 20 and 8, till 30 and 12. Okay, so the first question I have there says, find the ratio of the red is to blue ball. The ratio. So we are going to represent each quantity in fraction. So I'll simply say 2/5 should be equal to 4/10, which should be equal to 6/15, equal to 8/20, equal to 25/10, 10/25, equal to 12, equal to 12/30, Now this is the fraction representing each value on the table as fractions. Therefore, this is the simplest times, cannot divide. If I divide there 2, divide there 5, divide by 3, 2, divide by 3, 5, divide by 4, 2, divide by 4, 5, divide by 5, 2, divide by 5, 5, divide by 6, 2, divide by 6, 5. Now all of them are giving me 2 on top, 5 below. Therefore, the ratio is 2 over 5, which is 2:5. So for every 2 red, I'll have 5 blues. So this is the ratio. I've just found the ratio. Then B says determine if the red and blue are in direct proportion. For B, determine if they are in direct proportion. I will answer yes. Reason, because they have the same ratio. The ratio of red is to blue, red is to blue, red is to blue are all equal. Summing to 2:5. Therefore, it is a direct proportion. The third one, write the relationship between the red and the blue. Blue paint is proportional to red paint. Remove proportionality. Introduce equal to and import your constant, which is K, R. This is not complete yet until I introduce the rate of change. The rate of change is my proportion. Look at it. 2/5. So I'll remove K and put 2/5R. This is the relationship between B and R. Okay, finally, let us solve D. This says how much red paint will be needed to mix 8 liters of blue paint. How much red? If I have 8 blue paints, how many then will I need? My red will not be what? So since the rate of change is 2/5, I'll simply say that I'll get R by multiplying 2/5 times 8. If 2/5 acts on any quantity, then the other quantity is affected. The value of the other quantity is dictated. So R is equal to 16/5. This will give me 3 whole number 1/5. 3 whole number 1/5 liters of red paint. Thank you for coming on board today. Remember, for every direct proportion, the general formula is y equal to ks. Even though the variable may change, they can use a equal to kb, they can use w equal to v, kv. Any variable can go. So use the general formula y equal to kx to solve. First of all, put the value of y and the value of x, you will get the value of k. As soon as you get the value of k, you can now get the value of the missing variable that you'll be asked to find.